Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hard Hats and High Tech, the podcast where construction meets innovation. I'm your host, Bernardita Carlson, speaking to you as always from my office in Santiago, in Chile, and I'm really excited to introduce you to today's guest, Greg Wilkes. Greg is a serial entrepreneur, property developer, construction business coach, and a best selling author. He has successfully built and scaled multiple businesses in the construction industry, and today he's going to be sharing valuable insights into how artificial intelligence is shaping how we build and deliver construction projects. Hi, Greg. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm great. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I know it's really early for you, so thank you for taking the time, and I'm really excited to have you here.
That's great. Yeah, no problem. The sun's up. It's 7 a.m., but yeah, all raring to go.
I'm glad. Okay, before we start with the questions, we always ask our guests to introduce themselves a little bit. So, would you like to do that for our audience?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, yeah, Greg Wilkes, been in construction a very long time. Experienced the pains of a construction business going wrong. I scaled quite a large construction company in the UK. It was very successful, but then things went wrong and downhill, and it was really horrible, a horrible time of life. And so I ended up writing a book about why it went wrong to try and help other people not go through that sort of pain, and then what steps I took to restart it and get out of it again. But funny enough, going through an experience like that, I think it teaches you a lot in life and a lot in
Mm.
business. Being determined not to repeat those mistakes again, and really learning a framework of how do you actually create a really successful construction company. So I think that failure actually really catapulted my career in being able to have multiple successful companies after, and then being able to coach other businesses on how to have a successful company. So that's why I got into coaching. So yeah, that's pretty much a little bit of my story. But I've been in it, yeah, a very long time. 25 years I think I've been in construction. So yeah, it feels
Wow.
like a lifetime.
Yeah, that's a lot of time and also a lot of experience. So, I'm really excited to have you here, and I think you're going to be really perfect person for this episode. So, let's dive in with the topic for today. I wanted to start maybe giving a little bit of a broad question, um, and then we can go into the details. So, over the next 3 to 5 years, where is AI taking construction, and what is the single biggest win for smaller builders who act now?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question, this, because I think if someone's listening to this podcast in like a year or 2 years' time, this is going to be completely outdated because it's moving so fast. It's crazy how quickly the things are changing. So I think the next 3 to 5 years are going to be really exciting with some of the developments we're going to see. Um, and it is a little bit hard to predict, really, because
Yeah.
AI is almost that they're saying it's actually doubling in capacity every 6 months, which is mind blowing to think about. So when I think about where it's taking construction, I don't just think of construction as in the work we're doing on site. I'm thinking construction as the entire business of construction. So that's everything from your sales and marketing to the bookkeeping in the office to what's happening on site and the planning. Um, so I think we're going to see some amazing things. I mean, first of all, if just talking about maybe the marketing of where I think it's going to go, I think you're going to potentially be having ads to your clients that are completely customized to them. So say, for example, you knew who your ideal client avatar was. I think now that AI is, well, we can already do it, but AI is going to be able to produce ads that are exact for that client. So you're going to log on to Facebook and Instagram, and you'll have a pre-prepared ad that's already prepared for you, that's going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, and psychologically make you think, yes, I want that company. I'm going to click that ad and go for that. So we're already starting to see that happen. Some amazing jumps in AI with marketing. I think your sales, like for example, if you had a small builder that's going to go and visit a client, I think they're going to be literally walking up the garden path. They're going to be wearing maybe their Google glasses and having, maybe a headset in, and they're going to be briefed on who this client is. It's going to say to you, right, this client earns this much a year because we can tell by the job he's got on LinkedIn. He's got a little dog called Rusty, because we know that because we've scanned his Facebook profile. He's got 2 kids. And it's going to give you a full brief of the client before you even walk in the door, so you know who potentially you're pitching to. I think when you're wearing your Google glasses and then you're looking around the project to quote it, the Google glasses will potentially be doing like a LiDAR scan of the building and understanding all the measurements. And then it's going to be recording your conversation with the client. So you're going to have a full transcription of what the client wants. Before you even get back in your truck or your van, that quote's going to be fully prepared to be able to send out to the client. So that's really exciting to think about the sales and marketing side, how quickly that's going to move. And then I think we go even further than that. What a site's going to look like. I think we're going to have sites where cameras are going to be up everywhere, and it's going to be able to do quality control via the cameras. And we're already, seeing some of that now. And it's going to be able to work out, weather systems. And actually, we've got a weather system coming in that's going to mean you're going to have to do this work on this date and move and reschedule this because of what's coming. So yeah, look, really, really exciting times. I think what we're not going to see is we're not going to see robots necessarily taking over in 3 to 5 years. I think we are seeing, like robot bricklayers, and we're seeing 3D printing houses. That's already there. But I think it's going to be a long time before we see, for small construction, I don't think we're going to see a robot having the dexterity to be able to get under a kitchen sink and be able to plumb in a sink in a cupboard. I think we're a long way away from that. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting times, and I think AI for many businesses is very, very worrying. But AI for construction is actually really exciting, because I think it's going to be a space where we're pretty safe for a long time, and it's actually just going to make many improvements for us as we go forward. So yeah, really, really exciting times to be in. So I think the second part of your question was what's some of the wins for builders who act now. I guess the thing is you just need to start using it. Just get on ChatGPT and start using it to work out what it can do for you. I think the biggest failure would be is if you don't embrace it. If you put your head in the sand and think it's not coming, you're going to be in trouble. So yeah, that's probably the win. Just get going and start having a play with it.
Okay, you mentioned some really interesting use cases there, especially with sales and marketing, because I think when people think about construction, artificial intelligence, they go to the actual construction process and not to these other areas of a business that are also crucial. So, yeah, that's a really interesting point. Now, artificial intelligence, as you mentioned, especially maybe for smaller businesses, can be scary, right? So, could you explain maybe in simple terms how artificial intelligence help construction professionals make better decisions?
Yeah, so it gives you a few leverages that we all want to use ourselves. So each person wants to do this in order to be helped by it. So it gives you like a time leverage. So you just think the time it's probably saved you. For example, if you're going to write an email out, yeah, you can write that email out, and it might take you 10 minutes to write a complex email out. Now the time leverage, AI can write that email out in 5 seconds. So that's just on a small scale, writing an email. Maybe you think about doing like a risk register on site. You punch in the details of a project and ask for a risk register. The time it will take to do that is just seconds. So we've got a massive time leverage, which really helps you as a professional, which is great. Then you've got to think about the knowledge leverage it's given you, because you potentially got like a PhD consultant that's able to give you knowledge on any subject. So you're leveraging the knowledge base, which is huge. So it just upskills you and makes you sound a lot better at what you do at your role, and gives you knowledge in areas that you probably know nothing about. You might not be very good, as we said before, at marketing or sales or finance, but you've basically got an expert giving you the answers on all of that. So that's great. So it gives you time, it gives you knowledge, and then you've got to leverage the team as well. So your team are going to be leveling up too with what they're going to be learning. So I think for any professional, you're going to be able to upskill in all those 3 areas if you use it and if you leverage it the right way.
Okay. Yeah, I think one point that you mentioned there being time savings, I think it's a huge point for the construction industry with all of these time consuming processes, estimating, taking off quantities, and all of this. Just being able to automate these tasks with AI, it's huge. Now I wanted to move into maybe a misconception in AI, and maybe you can tell us if it's true or not. Um, which day-to-day jobs are most likely to vanish or radically shrink because of AI, if any?
Mm. Well, yeah, this is the worry, isn't it, for many? I think many are really scared about this, and but this is what's going to happen. You know, that the jobs are going to go. I guess the way to think about this is, you know, will jobs go, or will actually you just allow people to work on better things and do better jobs? So, okay, if we just take the same thing again, we think about the marketing. Um, Look, you're not going to need someone that's going to create loads of videos for you and do all the, if you've got, say, maybe two or three marketers in your business at the moment, yes, that may shrink down to one. So yeah, someone's potentially going to, you know, lose their roles there. But what it is going to do is going to make that marketer that you do have really good, and then you're potentially going to be able to leverage them, and they'll be able to give you even more output than ever before. If you're only posting 5 times a week, now they can do it 30 times a week and have even more success. So um that's one way to think about it. Jobs might not necessarily completely disappear, but people will be able to level up. But the reality is we are going to see jobs shrink down and roles shrink. So yeah, we're going to see takeoffs and estimating changing. We're going to see things like a lot of the admin changing, like we think of all the meeting minutes and things that are done, and site updates and site diaries. All of that's going to be, you know, massive time savings on all of that, all the timesheets and things. Finance, you know, think of all the receipts that are put in and submitted and then reconciled into Zero. All of that's going to be automated. So you're going to see bookkeepers and accountants slashed. I don't know about you, but I've never used a solicitor or a lawyer for anything since ChatGPT come out, because I've set up businesses and done like shareholder agreements, and you know, you have the odd dispute with a supplier or whatever, and I've not used a solicitor for any of that. I'm literally using ChatGPT to do that for me, and then checking it through, and it's so good. You think, actually, do I need to go and pay a solicitor $1,000 an hour to review this for me? So so you're going to see those roles change too. So I think there's a lot. There's a lot of jobs that are going to shrink. But rather than be worried about that, as I said before, I think it should be more, let's embrace it, and let's think, actually, we're just going to make everyone that I do have working for me even better, so you can expand even faster.
Okay, so it's not maybe about the job going away, it's transforming it and adapting with these new tools.
Yeah.
Um, okay, now I wanted to go into actual project phases and how AI impacts on those areas. So for project planning, scheduling, and resource allocation, how can it improve those areas with AI?
Yeah. So again, some of this is still quite emerging. There is stuff out there. I mean, some of these questions are hard to answer because you've obviously got big companies out there that are probably employing AI automation experts, and they will be building some of this stuff in-house and using it right now. But they might not necessarily be making these software tools off the shelf that you can just buy for a construction business. So it's quite hard to know exactly what's going on in this area. But thinking about planning, resourcing, and scheduling, I think it's a little bit like what I said before. You're gonna see. I mean, you could do it now. You could potentially put a specification in your drawings and a full spec, and it will work out a full Gantt chart timeline for you, which is great for your scheduling. So it'll work out, you know, how that project's going to last and potentially what you're going to do. It might not be perfect, but you can go in and then you can go and edit that. So planning can be done very easily, and as we said, you can do your risk registers and stuff like that with your planning, which is great. You can then take that plan and then you can then ask AI to work out the critical path. You can ask it to work out when certain materials and procurement should be actioned on that sort of stuff. So AI is able to do that already, which is pretty exciting. What we're probably not seeing it be able to do yet is think in advance and then think of, like we said before, like weather patterns and saying, right, actually we've got, you know, huge amount of rain coming next week. I now need this completely redesign this schedule. It's probably not quite there at that stage yet, but it's not going to be long before it starts doing that. So you're going to see planning and scheduling completely change. I don't know, actually, there's an amazing tool out there at the moment that can do this personally for you, and this is why we're going to see it on a big level. There's one now that it will take your entire diary for the week, like your personal diary. It will look at what you've got done during that day, and then if you don't get your tasks finished, AI will then work out how to move that into the rest of the week and schedule out your entire personal diary. And it will shift it day by day. So that's already there, and that's on a personal level. So all we need to do is leverage that up and think, actually, how do we then apply this to teams, and how do we apply this to sites, which is going to be a complete game changer. So I think that's the way it's going, which is a nice place to see.
Yeah, it sounds like exciting developments. And together with planning, I would say one of the most exciting developments in AI is, as we said, cost estimation and budget control. So you already mentioned a little bit about cost estimation, but what about budget control? How does AI support this important area and also a challenging area for construction projects?
Yeah, this is one of the big things, isn't it? So, well, first of all, it can already do live pricing for you. So, if anyone's ever tested out an agent, you can actually set an agent up, and give it a list of materials that you potentially want to procure. Send the agent out, and it will do live pricing on any websites that are potentially out there that have those live prices on, so it can go out and scan and work out where to get those materials from. So that's quite exciting. But what we're also now seeing is AI call agents. So you can set up an agent and say, right, let's give you an example. I want 10 bulk bags of soft sand and whatever, 100 sheets of plasterboard. You could then set an agent up, a call agent that would then call around local suppliers to actually get live pricing of if they haven't got it on their website, I can actually phone them. So that's amazing. Now I've tested this out multiple times, and what's really interesting is the AI call agent works. It works really well. It will connect and it will ask what you want it to ask. But what's not happening is it's not accepted at the other end. So the supplier that's picking it up, when it realizes it's AI, it doesn't like it and they hang up. I've tested it so many times and I haven't had one successful person actually say, yeah, here's your price. So society isn't accepting it at the moment, which is crazy. But really, the reality is, how long is it going to be before everyone starts using this? The builders, merchants, and suppliers have to accept it. And how long is it really going to be before you've got an AI agent that's actually picking up the phone for the supplier? So you'll have agents talking to agents. So I think that's what's happening with cost estimating and budget control. I think we're going to see, you really being able to procure a really good level, and that's going to be great because that's really going to drive down prices. Because you think at the moment, a lot of the time we buy things and we buy them quickly because we haven't got time to spend procuring, and we think I just need this and I need it now, so you end up paying over the top. But when you've got an agent that's got unlimited time to just keep calling hundreds of suppliers, it's going to really drive down costs and improve your profitability. So that's going to be a great advantage for people that leverage that.
Yeah, I mean, AI agents are a huge use case, and also one that is not so hard to implement, as I've learned. We have a couple implemented here for the marketing team at RIB, and they worked so good. So yeah, that's a cool use case. Now we talked about budget control, scheduling, which I guess are the two biggest goals for a construction project. But we also have another topic where AI is making some changes, which is safety. So, how can AI enhance safety in construction sites?
Yeah, I think this is going to come down to wearable technology. So again, we've already got wearable technology out there. People can wear cameras, and I know some of the bigger companies use this. If you've got like lone workers, they'll want them to wear cameras while they're lone working, so that they can be monitored, and if there's any falls or anything like that. So that's great. That's already out there. So I just think we're going to see that technology come down in cost, so that I think it will be mandatory that you'll have every site worker wearing, headsets, glasses, or cameras. So it'll all be captured at any point. I think what you're going to see is you'll have big cameras up on site that are looking at the works being done, and it will notice, it will flag anything. It will say, right, hold on, we've got a PPE breach over here. That person's not wearing their PPE, or actually that scaffold isn't safe at the moment. That needs to be changed. So I think it's going to be cameras that are really going to change this space. And then maybe some other things. You'll use AI to get more reminders. Like, for example, the scaffold needs the tag renewed because that's run out. So it'd be more like scheduling reminders, or actually that piece of equipment or that tool that you're going to use, it's now time for its annual service. Let's get that booked in automatically, and then get it re-delivered back to site. So I would say the safety is going to come around that area. And then I think what's going to happen in the future is the ones that embrace that technology and use that for safety. I think you'll see things like insurance companies bringing down premiums and things like that. They'll say, actually, if you start incorporating these cameras on your site, we're now going to bring down your premium for your public liability or whatever it is, potentially, because they know that you've got these controls in place. So that's going to be good, and again, another saving, and make the insurance underwriters happier if we start implementing that.
Okay, that's cool. With all of these predictive maintenance and wearable devices, it's a really, really also interesting use case. Now, I want to go back a little bit to the benefits that we discussed before. We talked about time savings and other benefits. But what about collaboration? We know that collaboration is a huge challenge in the construction industry even today. So, in which ways, in your experience, can AI enhance collaboration between teams?
Yeah, so this is, I guess, using AI of what it's been mainly built for. We've built these, they're called LLMs, aren't they? Large language models. And collaboration's all about language and communication. So it's really just making sure that we're using AI to capture every single conversation that's had. Now that will happen again by wearables. I know OpenAI, they've just hired Johnny Ive, haven't they, from Apple, to build them a wearable device. So we don't quite know what that wearable is going to be at the moment. We don't think it's going to be a phone, but we literally think it's going to be a device that you just wear that captures your conversation every day. Someone was saying that Amazon already have a band that you can wear on your wrist that will capture everything, which is, I haven't seen that actually, but yeah, that's what's happening. I think all our conversations are going to be recorded literally from the point we wake up to the point we go to bed, and I think we'll end up all just accepting that. So on site, what that will mean is that any conversation we have with a client or a subcontractor, whatever it is, we'll know exactly what's been said. That will sort out any disputes, because we'll know what's been agreed to and what's not. You'll have a conversation, and then meeting minutes will automatically be prepared and captured. It will then send an auto email to the client and to you to say, here's what was said, here's the action points on this. You can do this already. There's loads of tools out there that will capture your meeting minutes. And if you're having Zoom calls like this, you can bring meeting things into the meeting bots into the meeting, and it will capture everything, give all the action items. So that's going to be really useful. So I think that's what's going to happen with collaboration. We'll literally have it all there, very transparently, and it will just cut out those disputes and sometimes the miscommunication where you think, oh, I thought you were going to do that, or no, you said you were going to do this. Actually, I wanted the socket over there. No, you said you wanted the socket here. It will stop all of that. So I think we're going to see communication change and just make everyone much more efficient. So I think that's where collaboration's going. And I guess people will start building out their own portals to be able to communicate a lot better. So rather than potentially having everything on email and someone's got it on Slack and someone's got it on WhatsApp, rather than having all of that, it'll all be combined into one portal, which again, there's potentially tools out there that can do that now. Just going to keep communication more streamlined and in one place, which is what we all want.
Yeah. I mean, some of these use cases that you're mentioning are quite impressive. I didn't know about them, but it all sounds really good on paper, right? But we know there are barriers to AI adoption. not only in construction, I guess in all industries at the moment. So what do you think are some common barriers companies are facing at the moment in the construction industry when adopting AI?
Yeah, but the first thing is trust. I think a lot of businesses don't trust AI, so they don't want to give any IP over. Like for example, at the moment, you can allow AI to analyze your emails. So you can already do syncs at the moment with just ChatGPT. You can let it loose on your Google Drive or your Gmail, and you can do the same with Gemini. So but some people don't like that. They think I don't want you to have access to all my emails and all my
Information.
Google Drive. Yeah, that's right. It's a worry. So I think that's the first barrier is people need to learn to trust it. It's not. I think we give a lot away anyway at the moment. I think we overrate our privacy, and I think a lot of our stuff. I think everyone knows these big companies. They know it all anyway. So if we think that Microsoft and Google are not already reading our emails, I think we're a little bit naive. So first of all, let the barriers down yourself. Learn to trust it and realize it's here to stay. You've got to be prepared to embrace it. And then I think a lot of people just get scared of the technology because they don't know how to use it. So they don't want to know, and they think, no, I don't want the robots taking over, so I'm not going to use this stuff. I think you've actually just got to start working with it and play around with it and think, yeah, I can see this is working. And then people worry that it makes mistakes because we've seen we've had this new term coined called hallucinations, where AI hallucinates and basically makes something up. And we've only seen that term, over the last sort of couple of years. And they're making great strides on that, but it still happens. Sometimes AI doesn't get it right and it makes something up. So people don't trust it. So that's a massive barrier because they think, well, is it going to get it wrong? So I think what we need to do with that sort of stuff is you need to start small, maybe start with like one workflow, and test it out, and then ask it questions. Maybe have a little bit of an audit pack so you can ask it something, and then when it gives you an answer back, maybe you've got like a checklist to check through and think, right, has it answered that right? Has it done this right? And I think the more you use it and the more guardrails you put in place, which you can, the more you'll start to feel comfortable with it. It's not there 100% yet. It's still improving, but we've got to start lowering those barriers, because if we don't, we're really going to be left behind by another builder that is potentially using it. So those barriers have got to come down for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it has come to a point where it's no longer a choice. You just need to go into it. And you mentioned being prepared for it. And I guess being prepared also means having some kind of skill to effectively use AI. So, do you think there's really a particular skill that construction professionals should have to effectively implement AI?
Yeah, I think for each person, like a personal goal is to really try and master what they're calling like prompt engineering, or how to do a good prompt. The better the question. So just for anyone that doesn't know, so a prompt is basically the question you ask AI, or the message that you're putting in there. That's your prompt, and then it will give you something out. So we want to really master those prompts, because if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And sometimes we can be a little bit lazy with a prompt and not quite prompt it the right way, and then we don't get the right thing back. So there is definitely a skill to writing a good prompt. So but the crazy thing is about AI is you can actually ask AI for the best prompt. If you wanted, if you were unsure how to frame your prompt the right way, you could actually give it a little bit of a rubbish prompt and say, actually, what's the best way of me prompting this? And it will give you a real top prompt, and then you can paste that in and get an even better answer. So I think that's probably the number one skill at the moment is learn how to use the prompts, learn how to use some of the agents as well. So like for example, ChatGPT, you can create special GPTs or special projects, and learn how to use them. They're brilliant to set up. So if, like for example, something I've done is I've got like a finance projects. So I've prompted it so it understands to answer me like a top CFO. So I've got that all built in, and you might want to build multiple ones of these across your business, so that any question you ask, a legal question, a finance question, a construction question, a marketing question, you can have special agents that will answer that for you. So one of the skills would be to, rather than just asking it the generic thing all the time, actually build out your own projects and your own specialists. You'll see a massive difference if you do that.
That's really good advice. It's just starting small with the prompts, and then
Mm.
I guess the sky is the limit with all of these tools.
Yeah, and I think
Now,
and I think the sorry, I was just going to say one more thing. I think the other thing too is
please.
if there's any CEOs listening to this, I think the skill set you need to think about is actually bringing in people that understand AI and can build these tools out. So I'm really encouraging like a lot of my clients to actually look overseas and potentially bring in AI automation experts into the business. I think that's probably one of the most important roles that any business could have at the moment, is just bringing an expert in that can, and they don't cost a lot. And especially now because there's this thing called vibe coding. So what vibe coding means is you can actually build tools and apps and things like that just by using your words, like vibe, like you can basically, vibe code it. So it's driving down the cost of these roles. But I think any business owner, if they want to level up their business, bring someone like this into your business and start creating some tools, create dashboards and tools and things that you can use and things that your clients might want to use. I think that's probably the biggest ROI you'll get if you could do that.
Yeah, that makes total sense. After all, having an expert to guide the process instead of just shooting in the dark, it's
Mm.
always best. So that's good advice. Now, before we go, I wanted to maybe ask you if you have one part of construction AI where companies should prioritize for maximum impact. What would it be of all of the things we discussed today?
Yeah, good question. So I think I would just start really small, because sometimes, like, because I've been using it for a while, sometimes I think of like tools and things that I can use that sometimes can be a little bit complex, and I think, well, actually someone can't build that and they can't relate to it. So personally, for I would just go really, really small and start using it for something that we spoke about earlier, which is the collaboration. Because I think in business, you're collaborating with people all the time. That's probably the biggest thing that you're doing all day, is talking to people. So make sure you get yourself like an AI meeting minute taker that's literally capturing everything. I think that's probably it doesn't cost you anything. These tools are like 20, 30, $40 a month. And let it capture every conversation you have, every Zoom meeting. You can actually sit with the client now and push record on these apps. Even in ChatGPT, you can push record and it will capture it all. I would start getting into a workflow of doing that at all times, because you'll find that when you do that and then you start saving all of that stuff, you're pulling up some really valuable data. And also, it's just going to make your life a lot easier, because you're going to remember what's been said. It's going to
For
remember all the
sure.
action items. So I think that's probably the biggest impact, the one we spoke about earlier. Get your meeting minutes and everything you talk about, get it all transcribed and get it saved. That's the big one.
Yeah. Meeting minutes are like my dream, actually, because you don't need to take notes. You can actually pay attention.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I think that is a good note to end on. Greg, thank you so much for joining me today. You know a lot about this topic, and I have enjoyed our conversation so much. So thank you for being here. I don't know if you want to tell our audience where they can find you. I know you have some YouTube videos and some podcast episodes there. So
Yeah, well, look, I appreciate you having me on, Bernadita. So yeah, you can find me, just search Greg Wilkes, construction coach online or whatever. I'm sure I'll pop up. But our website's Develop Coaching. So have a look on there. I'll give my free book away. So if anyone wants to find out about how I created a large company and then how it all went wrong and what I did, I've got a free book that we give away. So if you pop on the website, you can grab that book. It's called Building Your Future. It's also on Amazon and on Audible. But yeah, got a podcast as well. So yeah, just have a search and I'll pop up. I'm everywhere
You're
on the
everywhere.
market. Yeah, but great to be on. It's yeah, really interesting conversation. Appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And to our listeners, we'll be back with another episode very soon. Thank you.